I've been competing in jiu-jitsu since about 2009, and I've been competing at the highest level of black belt for the last 4 years. So in this video, I'm gonna give you guys a deep dive breakdown of how not to get your guard pass, because from 2009 till about 4 years ago and a little bit of the beginning of black belt, holy cow, dealing with getting your guard pass is not just embarrassing, it's frustrating. So if you guys wanna have some guard retention like this.
And as we have seen, Trey Carter also one of those kinds of competitors who want the submission.
Jackson trying to...
You know, one thing about Trey's guard too, Danny, is it feels very... Oh my goodness! Oh!
Like some of the videos I'm showing you guys right now, and you want to like take your jiu-jitsu to that next level, this video is going to give you that breakdown of what you guys are looking for. So when it comes to not getting your guard passed, there's a lot of different ways you can approach this. I've learned, whether it's through myself, but also being a coach, the best way to learn jiu-jitsu and do jiu-jitsu is in more of like a conceptual type way. So we don't want to think about jiu-jitsu as in like individual techniques. I put my hand here and there. Those are like really good initial ways to learn the technique, but you really need to have a good understanding of the concept of what we're trying to do, to where then it's going to give you more availability to achieve the goals you want in some scenarios that you've maybe never experienced before. Because in a lot of my matches, like for example, of the semifinal Master World, when I was retaining my guard and doing some of those things that I showed you guys in that video, like I haven't been in some of those positions before and done that, but because I always think about jiu-jitsu in a conceptual context, in the moment, I'm able to do those things because how I initially learned and think about jiu-jitsu. Or even like, for example, my matches that you guys saw with Jackson the guy, like when I'm retaining my guard and doing those things, the principles that I'm gonna show you guys right now and concepts, those are the only things that are running through my mind. So like, first off, I will share this with you guys. This is really useful, not just within competing, but also in sparring and training as well. Like I'm not thinking about any potential end outcome when I'm sparring or competing. And just so you guys understand, when I say sparring, which is the only word I'm gonna use going forward, it implies competing as well. Because for me, like a jiu-jitsu tournament is basically a giant open mat and it's a giant pageant show. Like no one cares if you win or lose. Like I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu the same way at an open mat that I will at a tournament. The only difference though is that like I will only stop trying to submit my opponent when the referee says stop at a tournament. At an open mat, I'm gonna stop when they tap or if the buzzer obviously goes off because, well, I'm not a horrible human being, right? So when I'm thinking about some of these concepts, like the first thing I'm gonna kind of talk to you guys about is I really want to prevent chest-to-chest connection, right? So when I'm playing any kind of guard that's in front of me here, I wanna understand like some of my first layer of defense is always gonna be my legs here, right? Obviously my hands are gonna be really involved in preventing chest-to-chest, but if my legs are not involved and all I've got is my hands, whether I'm here or if he's on the outside, like he's gonna be able to inevitably find chest-to-chest connection. So like we'll always talk about like this idea of preventing chest-to-chest, but I also want to not just prevent his chest from getting close to mine, but also his hips. Because even if like I could stop his chest, look, his hips got close to my chest, now I'm in big trouble, and Ethan's on his best behavior right now, but if somebody was framing like this, he's gonna armbar the mess out of me. It's not gonna be a good day for me, but it's gonna be a great day for Ethan. But if my legs are just involved, look how like if I'm here, just by my legs framing on my partner, he's not gonna be able to get chest-to-chest connection or get his hips involved. Now, these are just conceptually, guys. I'm not saying, hey, put your feet here and guess what? You're not gonna get your guard pass because he's gonna throw those legs to the side and it's gonna be a really, really tough day. So when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, let's just go to your knees real quick here. So I have my legs, my knees, so my knees, my feet that are involved when it comes to framing, and I have my arms. So when I'm framing here, I really try to have people focus on not the idea of like where I'm necessarily putting my hands, but think more of where you're trying to frame, right? So if you learn like, oh, I just want to frame on the shoulder, then when he starts passing above your head here, you're gonna have a really difficult time being able to square back up. But if you really try to pay attention to this idea of like, I want to frame at the shoulders here, but I also want to square back up, then you're not limiting yourself to just this idea of like, oh, I frame with my hands here. Because what you're gonna learn is that you can also bring your leg, your top leg over the top, and then you can also frame on the shoulder. And when I bring my leg over the top here, you're gonna get better opportunity to make space and then bring your other leg back in to where then you can inevitably square back up. Because the only thing that I'm not trying to do here is I'm not trying to prevent just the guard pass. I'm trying to go from like a defensive cycle to an offensive cycle. Let's go and scoot back a little bit this way, just in case somewhere in frame. So this idea of what I really want you guys thinking about when you guys are practicing this idea of like how to better retain your guard is I'm only thinking about what I need to do in the moment and what do I want to do next. And there's a big reason behind this, guys, and this concept is huge. Then I'm going to give you guys some practical things you guys can practice and go through that's going to take your guard retention and your guard to the absolute next level, because this was huge for me. And if you guys can learn this now, you're going to pick up stuff much quicker than what I did, and you're going to fast track your jiu-jitsu like crazy. So when I'm doing this, I really want to use my legs, bringing my knees to my chest, and I'm trying to frame on his shoulder that is going to be closest to my head. If I frame on this shoulder here, look, this is going to go bad for me, right? But if I frame on the shoulder that will become closest to my head, if he circles around and passes here, look how now it's much more difficult for him to get chest to chest. Just kind of go back here. This other idea, and again, I don't want you guys to think about, oh, it's my hand that frames here, because this could also be our leg that gets involved in framing here. This could also inevitably be like our foot that frames here. And this could also be our knee that frames here as well. So when I give this example to you guys, don't think about this idea of like, oh, my hand goes here, my hand goes here. You need something framing there, right? So another like idea here is that I'm not just trying to like frame at the shoulder, but I also want to make Ethan's job as difficult as possible to pass my guard. So what is something from this position here, just in a basic concept of thinking about this, what would make his job easier? Well, if he can climb this grip up, for example, all the way up to my collar, his job of passing my guard is what? Significantly easier. And I know you guys can see this, but if you look at what he just did, he just reached down and grabbed a cross pant grip. So now he just got two grips that makes his job easier. So if I'm thinking in this position, I'm trying to retain my guard. Number one, the first thing I'm thinking about is building up my frames. Then I'm thinking about what does he need next and how can I make his job much more difficult? What's his job? His job's to pass my guard. So I want to make it as difficult as possible. So first he starts to pass. Okay, I got my frames. Then I know he wants to climb this grip up. Well, how can I make it more difficult? I don't know about you guys, but I'm not Mr. Miyagi, so I can't like what this whole wax on, wax off type stuff here. But if I frame towards my partner's bicep here, notice I'm not just saying my hand. This could be the foot as well. Realistically, in this scenario, it's going to be your hand, but just think about this conceptually with me. I'm going to be framing at the bicep. Now if he tries to reach up and grab my collar, look how much more difficult this is. Now let's talk about this idea of like grabbing the bottom pant grip. Well, how can I make this more difficult? I'm not going to take my hands away from framing or whatever is framing to then prevent that. But if I know this is a grip that he wants here, look how I can flare my foot out to the outside just to make his job more difficult. Now again, we're trying to think about jiu-jitsu conceptually. So it's not just I flare my foot out and I achieve this goal. I want to do whatever I can to make his job much more difficult. So even if he starts to like, let's say like even get a grip here, I know it takes him a moment to set his grip. So like if he starts to get this grip or starts to go whatever, I may kick his foot away and then bring my foot to the other side of his hip. So then now I'm in an easy position to square back up and hopefully start an offensive cycle. So this whole idea here is that like I want to build my frames first, and then I should have a good understanding of what he needs next. So what I want to do is try to make his job as difficult as possible. Now, if you're like a white belt, blue belt, or you're just starting off wherever you might be, your understanding of how to make their job more difficult is going to improve in time, which is like kind of like my next point. If you want to know how to pass a specific guard, we really push at Dynasty is that you need to understand how to play that guard. Because if you understand how to play that guard, you understand how to make it as difficult as possible for them to be able to play that guard. Because you know what they need next to be able to get the submission, to get the off balance, to get the sweep, whatever they're looking for. It's the same idea in reverse though. So if I know, for example, Ethan is trying to work knee cuts, I know what he needs next. I know what can make his job easier based off whatever guard pass he's going for. Now, this concept and applying this of like, oh, they're trying to pass to the outside. Oh, they're trying to Toriando. They're trying to knee cut. When you understand how to do those passes better, you're going to understand how to retain from those positions significantly better. So not to overwhelm you if you're super new, thinking like, oh, I got to learn all these guard passes like in this amount of time. Like, you don't have to do that, because more often than not in training especially, your training partners are probably going to do the same passes every time. They're going to have like generally one, maybe two styles of passing, and you're going to get plenty of good practice dealing with that. So if you have like this, let's say a upper belt or someone that's around your rank that constantly knee cuts all the time, learn how to knee cut with them. Then when you learn how to knee cut with them, you can then obviously look at what they need next to make their job more difficult, to then build your frames, think about what they need next, try to off balance them, to then obviously get back to your guard. There's also the other side of this too. And this part is a little bit more difficult. I would say what's easier is to learn how to do what they like to do. And then you can obviously deconstruct that, think about what they need next to make their job more difficult. But the other side that's a little bit more difficult is that if you pay attention and watch for patterns to what your opponent, training partner even, likes to do, then you could, like, for example, try to prevent that next step from happening. But in reality, it's to make it more difficult. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Like, I'm not like thinking about jiu-jitsu in the context of like, if they play rock, I play paper, right? Excuse me. If I play rock, I play paper, guaranteed win. No, like jiu-jitsu is a game of probability, which is why we do things in a very specific way, because it gives us a higher probability of success. So again, when I'm in a position of like, I feel like my guard's being threatened, my first thought, period, building my frames. That's with my legs and that's with my arms. The biggest thing I want to prevent is chest-to-chest connection. My biggest focus here too is that I like to have my feet on opposite sides of the hip, right? On the outside. Now, just to be clear, I want my left foot on the left side, my right foot on the right side. This is not what we're looking for. Now, there's obviously inversions from here, going to reverse close guard, a lot of other fancy fun things you can get creative with, but this is not X guard, okay? This is not what we want to do in this position. But in a general sense, if I'm teaching somebody to retain their guard, I really like the idea of my feet getting past the hips here. And this can apply in a couple different areas. So for example, let's say they're in the knee cut position here. So what do I want to do? I want to build up my frames. So look, what is my knee being right now? It's a frame, right? Now just framing here on the shoulder, it's not going to do a great job, but it's doing a pretty good job. So then I think, oh, I want to build some kind of frame at this shoulder too. So then we can either go to a collar grip, framing here. We can either do like a thumb post into the armpit here, framing at the shoulder. And then what do I want next? Well, I want to think about how I can make his job more difficult. So we know from the knee cut, what are some things Ethan can do? Well, he maybe, if I don't have a grip, he could throw his hands to the side, go to a knee cut. He could climb this grip up, go to the collar. So then I think to myself, okay, so if he rewinds, I want to make his job more difficult. So look, I get the sleeve grip or I get a wrist grip. I get some kind of control here that makes his job more difficult, which makes him take a weaker grip. Now, is him controlling this bottom sleeve good? Yeah, he could do a lot of fun things with this. But if you ask Ethan, would you rather have the bottom sleeve grip or the collar grip? He's probably going to tell you the collar grip. So I've made his job more difficult in this position, which means my retention is going to have a higher probability of getting me back to an offensive cycle. So like, for example, when I'm talking about getting both feet to the outside of the hips, I've got that with one, right? Because now I blocked him from circling this way. If I'm framing with my knee here, but my foot is to the inside for some reason, he could circle the other way and go to leg drag. Or if you guys were reading Ethan's mind, yeah, dude, he's a savage. Such a horrible person. Just kidding, guys. He's freaking incredible. But I want my feet to the outside because look how it blocks him from going this direction. So what we would do in this position, just as an example, we want to off balance our partner. So I put some tension back into him. I bring my knee to my chest and look how I bring my foot out. And then I put myself in what we call the key master position here. Don't overstress about this idea of the key master position. Look at the concept and idea that both of my feet now are on the outside of his hips. There's no real guard pass from here, guys. He has to somehow get one or both feet from the outside here, and then he has to get around my knee to pass, right? So if I could build up these frames, I can make this space, get my key master position. Now his job in passing my guard is significantly more difficult. This is why you'll see me play this position a lot. Because number one, if I easily want to re-square back up, look at what I do here. You can either control the sleeve, you can keep the collar, this part doesn't matter. But look how I bring my hips in and I point my knees to the sky. Now think about this for a second. Is he closer to passing my guard? No. I made his job what? Much more difficult. Now here's the other concept I want to give you guys. You want to be very careful when you guys run into this, because when you go up against somebody who's got pretty good jiu-jitsu, they may get you into, let's say like I'm playing guard, blah, 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 things are going great. He gets me into the sneak cut, okay? We build our frames. We're thinking about this video. We're like, oh, what did Trey say to do? Make this space, boom, we get here. But then what happens if he finds a way to then get this foot back down and back over? What do? We do the exact same thing again. Like, you guys have to understand, I'm sure you probably heard this, like 80% of competing is mental. I would argue 90% of performance in anything is mental. So whether it's the first time that I build my frames here, maybe I get the control of the sleeve or the wrist, I make space and I get here. If that's the first time, that's what I do. What if it's like the 1 billionth time and I just can't get out of this cycle? My mind stays the same. I try to be as emotion-free as possible. I make the space and I get here and I try to square back up. We go through our attacks, trying to work, but then what if he gets me over here again? Boom, we're here again. Guess what I do? Exact same thing. Like, I build my frames, I try to make space, and then I look to get my feet to the outside of his hips. This is such, I feel like, a huge advantage you could build upon everybody. Get on everybody. Because most people are used to this idea, whether they're playing guard, they off balance 1 to 2 times, and then they get their sweep or maybe even their submission. But if you get someone to try to off balance you over and over and over again, they're going to get discouraged because in their mind it's not working. It's the same idea with passing guard. If he keeps getting me over to the knee cut side, he tries to pass, boom, I get my foot back in, square back up, I start off balancing, he gets me there again, and then the same thing happens again. I square back up, start off balancing him. What are they going to start thinking? They're like, man, like, got a 5-6 minute match, maybe you're doing black belt 10-minute match, and they're like, oh, dude, like, this knee cut is not working. What are they going to do then? Well, they're either going to hesitate probably, or they're going to try to do something else. And generally their something else is going to be like a B tier of their actual game and what they're most confident in doing in a general sense, especially in the training room. Obviously at the highest level, it's going to be different, but in a general sense, like, if they end up failing in these things they're trying to go for, they're going to get discouraged. They're going to try to go for something else. So if you can remain emotionally detached from your jiu-jitsu and do your best to like approach it like a robot, right? So when I'm like coaching my athletes to play guard, they're not trying to sweep their opponent. They're not even trying to submit them. Because if you try to sweep them and it will fail against the best guys, that's like a little tick of failure. And then it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. But what if your mindset is to only off-balance them? Well, if you off-balance them and it doesn't sweep them, did you succeed or did you fail? You succeeded. So then when you off-balance again and again, and if they, for example, if they fall or you get a look to elevate their hips and you can build height, then you get 2 points for the sweep. Or if you get an opportunity to go for a submission, you go for the submission, but no matter what the outcome is, you succeeded because your mindset was, I'm going for the off-balance. It's the same idea with retention here. All I'm trying to do is build my frames, get my feet in a general sense to the outside of their hips, square back up, and then get back to my offensive cycle. If they get me from an outside my offensive cycle and they get me into a defensive cycle, build my frames, try to off balance them, get my feet to the outside of the hips, square back up. That's it. If you want to think about this in the most basic way that really made the biggest impact in my guard retention, so you guys can have a guard retention level like some of the past matches you guys have seen with me, and if you guys want to have like that level of confidence that when you play guard, you just know you're not going to get your guard passed, this is how I think about jiu-jitsu. I think about it conceptually, and I think about only what I need to do in the moment. And when I'm sparring or when I'm competing, the reward is not the submission, it's not the sweep, it's not the guard pass, it's definitely not the medal. It's getting to do jiu-jitsu. And when that's your excitement and joy of what you get to do, you'll get outcomes that everybody wants, but they can't find. So if you want to be like, have like the best guard retention and be that guy that is just impassable, it all starts up here. I promise you guys. All of it starts up here. And how you think about jiu-jitsu is how you're going to do jiu-jitsu. I promise. So again, regardless of what that position is, I'm looking to build up my frames. And then once I build up my frames, I'm looking to then try to find ways to off balance and move them so then I can get my feet to the outside of the hips. So we've talked about obviously the knee cut in this position. There's a lot of other positions they can go to as well. So for example, if, let's say like even something like the leg drag, for example, I know that in a general sense when it comes to retaining my guard, I just don't want to stop his chest from getting to my chest or his hips getting around my knee to get chest to chest. I also want to keep my hips and chest facing him the whole time. Because if he gets me in leg drag, one of the things that Ethan wants to do in leg drag, and he's going to be careful because I just had surgery on this knee here, is that, you can put your hand there, is that he's going to walk my legs this way. Now when my legs get this way, what's happening here? I could somehow keep my chest towards him, but what's up with my hips? My hips are facing the opposite direction. And one important principle, guys, when it comes to playing guard or even passing, is that anytime you get misalignment of the spine, you make your opponent weak. And if you guys look at this, my spine is, I was gonna say as misaligned as possible, but Ethan is the king of making people into human pretzels, and he would argue he can make it worse, but we're not going to today. But I, for example, within the leg drag position here, let's go ahead and rewind a little bit. I wanna make sure what? Okay, I wanna build up my frames. So I know this foot's blocking this side of the hip, so he's not gonna pass this way because he's gonna go back into my guard. So I wanna start building my frames however I can. Right now, initially, what's the quickest frame we can build with? It's always gonna be our hands. So I'm gonna build up my frame here, right? I know he'll probably wanna climb this grip up, so look how I frame at this elbow. But then this is the tricky part, guys. And this is also, this is when it really comes down to how you learn and think about jiu-jitsu. It'll impact your ability to perform it. Because you'll see a lot of guys try to frame here, and they just bring their leg up, and it's only framing with the upper body. This will never work. So what I want to do is I want to make just enough space so that I can bring my outside leg, look, up and over his head. Now, whether I frame on this bicep here or I frame on the shoulder here, it doesn't matter, right? Let me rephrase that. It can matter. But the biggest idea I want you guys to get is bringing this outside leg up and over to start building a frame, right? Now, there's one detail. If you guys look at my one of my past videos, I talk about one of the greatest things you can do to improve your jiu-jitsu is stealing jiu-jitsu. One of my buddies, Sebastian Serpa, dude is an absolute animal. There's this idea that we call the cross spider concept, and this is like basically overpowered, right? So this idea I'm gonna give you guys that works really well in a lot of different outside guard passing scenarios here, and it can work for like the knee cut as well. But what's really nice is that you're always generally gonna get control over the sleeve that's gonna be closest to your head, because we wanna prevent their ability to climb that grip up. Now you could have wrist control here. The only problem is he could pummel that pretty easy. If I have the sleeve, he might be able to pummel and get a sleeve grip too. But guess what? Now we both have it. It's the same idea. Like I'm controlling this. He's kind of controlling it too, but he's not gonna climb this grip up to my collar, right? But when I bring this leg up and over, I'm gonna make some kind of space so then I can get my leg over. Now you'll think like, oh, I don't have the flexibility to do that. If your hips are flat like this, like supine, yeah, man, it's gonna be really tough. I don't have the craziest hip flexibility, but I will tell you, angles is everything. So then when he's in this position here, look how I like bring my hip out and I'm on my right hip. I'm like leaning as much as I can up onto the side that they're passing to. Again, I don't want to say right shoulder, because if it passes to the other side, you're gonna think right shoulder initially and you're gonna be delayed, realizing you have to do it the opposite way. So I wanna get on the side of my hip and shoulder that they're passing to. So I build this frame up and look how I bring my leg all the way over the head and I go to the cross spider here. Now, if I have control of this sleeve and my foot goes into the elbow joint here, not the wrist, okay, but the blade of my foot into his elbow joint, and I stay on my side, if now he tries to pass above my head, if he tries to circle above my head, look how difficult this is gonna be. As long as if I keep my chest and hips oriented, facing the ground, it's gonna be very difficult. Now, if I'm just relaxed here, he could just like basically walk his hips up, and this is gonna be horrible, right? So this idea of when I go to this cross spider, which is me framing on the side that's gonna be then passing above my head, I wanna make sure I stay as much as possible on my right side. So understanding that may be something he tries to do, I could be, look, we want to use our left hip, so I could be framing on the shoulder here. Look how I'm rotating my chest down like this. I'm keeping my foot into the bicep. So even something simple as like he does start to do a whip up, but he's gonna do it slow. He starts to do it slow. Look how I retract my knee to my chest, like lift up, and look how my foot can now then go to the outside of the hip. Now, what's controlling my top leg? Nothing. And even if he was somehow holding this pant grip, he'd really be holding the bottom one because it's cross pant control. But let's say he's just holding the top pant grip for whatever reason. Is he going to be able to stop me from getting my other foot to the other side of his hip? The answer is no. So now look, we have this principle and idea of getting both of my feet to the outside of their hips. Now from this position here, look how I can just square myself back up and we're good to play whatever guard we want. The only guard that's not really close to this is deep half. You guys don't want to play deep half. It's a lame guard. If you love deep half, I'm sorry. It's a goofy guard, okay? If they got bad gas, you got to put your head down there. Don't do that, guys, okay? So, kind of showing this idea to you again. If it's like they're outside passing, they're here. Look how like you can start with the wrist grip, but the sleeve control is going to be better. I'm going to make this space, but as I make this space, look how I start leaning more on my right side. Excuse me, the side that they're passing to. So then as I start making this space, I bring my leg up and over. What is this? Cross spider. Small little side tangent, guys. This right here, if I control the lapel, foot into the lapel here, guys, just above it, cross spider. It's a concept, not an exact position like, oh, spider, but it's cross spider. It's this idea and concept. If I control the end of the lever, then the fulcrum point that my foot goes into is going to be strong. If I don't have it and I'm doing this, this is, yeah, guys, this is going to be a bad day for me, good day for Ethan. Guys, we want Ethan to have good days, but not at my expense, right? Like we want, come on, right? So, again, outside we're here. I build this frame. I'm really getting up on my right side. I make this space, bring this leg over, and look how I really rotate myself down here. We obviously don't want to have idle hands. You guys control the collar, however you guys like to do this here. And then all we're going to look to do is stay on my side. Now we can like off bounce and move them, escape this leg, foot past the hip. Now I know what you guys are thinking here. What if he walks the other way? Walk the other way. Circle to your right. Keep going. No, circle this around. Look, oh man, guys. Okay, now I'm getting dizzy. That's actually crazy. So obviously you can't pass the other direction here. So when we know what we have, it's going to be really strong. So then how do I retain from here if he doesn't whip me up? Well, look, I take my right foot and I'm going to exchange it with my left foot. So look how I bring my foot to the bicep and I pull my right foot out as now my foot is what? In the spider. So then I can just bring my foot to the outside of his hip here. Now, whether we want to play like a transfer guard style, this is fine. But even then from this position, I like to take my foot, bring it behind his actual tricep here. So now both of my feet are what? On the outside of the hips. Then I can look to square myself up and have a bunch of fun. Now, Ethan took his arm out, but if you were real crazy with omoplatas and other armbar attacks, you obviously have other offense you can chain this into and start attacking from there. So if you guys get really bored after this video, look up Ethan Cummings. This guy is an expert in making people into pretzels, especially with the omoplata. Some people say omoplatas don't work, but we know that's not true. Okay, so with this idea, guys, of guard retention, you can apply this idea of like how to think about it to every position in jiu-jitsu. It's better to think about jiu-jitsu conceptually and think about what we are trying to achieve as opposed to the exact step by step about what to do. I'm going to speak slightly paradoxically with you guys, okay? So I need you to bear with me for a moment. I just said don't learn jiu-jitsu in the context of step by step, grab here, do this, do that. But initially learning a technique, it is important to understand that. You should learn the step by step, but be cautious in just trying to copycat the technique because then you're going to be isolated to learning that technique in a very specific way in very specific conditions. So we know paradoxically what? That's two truths existing at the same time that shouldn't exist. But if I understand I need to learn step by step, but really understand why it's working, then when you understand, not just know the technique, but you understand the technique, Then there's gonna be like an infinite number of scenarios you've never been before. You're gonna be put in them and be able to apply those concepts and almost like make up techniques in the moment. Like, guys, Ethan's been with me for, is it 4 years now? This guy has like put people in certain omoplata variations from positions that I wouldn't have even thought of doing. Has had incredible submissions, incredible performances. I've worked with him and taught him and gave him resources to study those positions. But some of those positions I've never seen before, and I study a lot of jiu-jitsu, but because he learned it conceptually and tried to understand the position as opposed to knowing, those are the outcomes. So again, I want to remind this of you guys, even if you can only train 2 to 3 times a week, you guys can have great jiu-jitsu in a handful of positions. And just like I tell all of my athletes, like the difference between being good at jiu-jitsu and great at jiu-jitsu, those that are great at jiu-jitsu will dominate those that are good. And from a technical perspective, the majority of people that do jiu-jitsu, with respect, they're not good. So if you guys are looking for like more content like this, you guys want to deep dive, I do have a lapel guard instructional that's in the actual Jiminy Christmas, guys. That's in the description down below. If you guys click that link, it's a really in-depth, detailed, systematic approach to lapel guard. When you guys invest in that, I do plan on adding more and more content to it. It's going to be no extra cost to you guys. And if you guys have any other questions, let me know in the comments below, like what other positions in regards to guard retention or jiu-jitsu that you guys have questions on. I would love to help you specifically. And if it's a fun enough question, I'll actually make a video about it. But if you guys even hit me up on Instagram, whatever else, I'd love to answer your guys' specific jiu-jitsu questions, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. If you guys want to see a really fun video though of Doi getting submitted and a bunch of other fun chokes you guys can do, check out this video right here.